Well, my best friend died last week. Damn undetected lung cancer. He was only going to the doctors every week for 4 months before he coughed up bloody mucus, and by then, it was too late. But that's not what this story's about. No, this is about how I was able to bring him back. Now, I'm sure most of you have seen Evil Dead. Yeah, it's basically like that, but not. Because nothing has changed. He's still just the same old Jonah. About 2 days after the funeral, wrecked with grief and emotions I didn't know how to process, I took my chain bookstore's copy of Necronomicon and trudged off to the graveyard. Thankfully, it's only about a 10-minute walk away, because it's already getting quite chilly at night. I didn't actually think it was going to work, but hey, you'll do anything for the people you care about, right? I didn't actually know what I was supposed to do, so I just started digging. Once I hit the casket, let me tell you, digging up graves is hard work, even if it's a relatively fresh one. I simply opened up the book to a random page and started reading. Nothing happened. Super anticlimactic. But yeah, no raging thunderstorm, no shaking casket, just the same dead Jonah. I simply went home and crawled into bed, still covered in dirt and sweat, with bleeding palms. I cried myself to sleep as I had every night since he had died. Grief, am I right? It was around 2 in the morning when I woke up to a banging sound at my front door. The first thought that ran through my mind was, yup, definitely going to be arrested for defiling a grave. Alright, let's go. Still, I got up to answer it. I was going to be sat at home or in jail after all. Sometimes a change of scenery can be nice. Who knows? I opened the door and I must have had quite the surprise on my face, because Jonah started laughing like an absolute maniac and just walked right into my house. After getting him a shower and letting him get settled on the couch with Netflix, I just shrugged it off as some weird lucid dream and went back to bed. I woke up the next morning to an empty couch, shattered dreams, and the smell of bacon. Not bacon cooking, mind you, just raw bacon. I walked into the kitchen and there he was, still, just right there. What the what? He was standing there in my kitchen, raw bacon hanging out of his mouth. All I could do was laugh. That boy sure did love his bacon. Plus, I figured he must be hungry. I mean, he hadn't eaten in a while. Life went on as usual with my new roommate. Steak rare like always. Hated vegetables. Honestly, nothing had changed one bit, other than the fact that he kept losing pieces of flesh, and the stench of decomposition filled my whole house. I went through a lot of air fresheners. I even started hanging them off of him at one point. Other than that, it really was surprisingly normal. We played video games, watched Netflix. He started working from home to pay the bills. I mean, yeah, the DEC started reporting on roadkill, having mutilated corpses, but we've always had a bit of a coyote problem. I didn't really pay much mind to it. Really, I was more worried about the increase in home invasions ending in homicide. But I figured I was pretty safe considering anyone that walked in would be met by a walking corpse. I did eventually have to move him to the shed behind my house. The smell got to be too much, and we were both worried that if my dog kept eating pieces of him that fell onto the floor, she would get sick. I really didn't pay much attention to the screams I heard coming from the shed either. I figured he was just watching horror movies, even though he always hated them before he died. I think he misses his girlfriend. We've been trying to figure out how we can tell her he's back. One night, I decided to join him. I didn't really have much going on, and I didn't have to work the next day. But when I opened the door, good God, was I greeted with the surprise of my life. There, tied to the chair I put in the shed, was my abusive ex-boyfriend. He was missing half of his face, and his muffled screams ripped through me like nails on a chalkboard. I quickly stepped into the shed and closed the door behind me. Jonah looked at me with a cheesy grin, and my ex just looked relieved. Well, as relieved as he could look while missing an eye and most of his skin from his cheek and jaw. I noticed bite marks covering his body, chunks of his flesh ripped clean off right to the bone and scattered all over the floor. Honestly, it looked like an animal attack. That was about when it all came together. Yeah, I know, sue me. I did all I could do at the moment. I simply stepped back outside and locked the door behind me. But still, I couldn't help but smile as I heard the wet tearing and listened as my ex slowly choked to death on his own blood. It really was the same old Jonah. He always told me he was going to kill my ex. I just always thought he was joking. At least I know he always has my back.